welcome to the London Speaker Bureau's annual drinks party at the Royal Aeronautical Society in central London. This is the 5th year the drinks party has been held, and it gets bigger and better every year. This year we've invited some fantastic business speakers who are wowing the circuit right now, and a wide range of corporate and governmental clients. Let's meet some of them.
My job is to tell people what's happening to the world economy. What on earth is happening to the world economy? And there are two stories in that. Story one is the shift of power away from Europe towards the emerging world. Now, you might say that's a great negative, power going away from the old world to the new. Actually, it creates huge opportunities.
What 3 things should they be looking out for over the next 12 months when it comes to the global economy?
Thing one, the shape of the recovery. Is it sustained? Is it sustained in the United States? Still, 40% of world output, depends a bit on how you measure it, still hugely important. So does the American economy go on growing? Next thing, what happens in China? China is slowing down. Now, you might say that's a bad thing. In some ways it may be a good thing. It'll take pressure off commodities, it'll take pressure off the oil price. We may find that actually, though the Chinese economy slows down, if it slows down in a controlled way, that will actually work out to our benefit. And story 3, the third thing to worry about is actually what's going to happen to the euro. Can they keep patching? Can they manage to get a little bit of growth going? And I think they probably will towards the end of this year. And can they hold things together?
Mike, I know that you do an awful lot of motivational speaking and you really enjoy it. What do you get out of it, and what do you think your audience get out of it?
Well, I really enjoy keeping an audience intrigued, and I like to ad-lib my talks, so I don't follow the same route every time, so it's a sort of emotional, intellectual challenge. I love getting response later. I sometimes get letters saying, I heard you speak, I've gone and done this. Thank you so much for that input. I think the audience do get a message that you can do, will do type message. And in fact, I tend to finish my talks on the note of whenever you say I can't, why not just change the word to why can't and look at it that way, and you get a long way with it. So it's a great pleasure.
And it's a wonderful concept, isn't it? Because you go to big events and you use local musicians and you create beautiful music, and then you translate that into how people in the business world can use it. How does that work?
Well, I suppose what it is, it's trying to give people a different vocabulary for talking about familiar things. At most business conferences one attends, people are talking within their own language and their own jargon. And I'm sort of there to somehow capture perhaps some of the key issues and try and express them within terms of music. And I think the wonderful thing is most people are interested in music somehow, either having learned an instrument or listen to a certain kind of music and hopefully have a love of music. So just to be able to talk about the orchestra, the power of an inspirational leader, the importance of listening, careful preparation, collaborating rather than competition within a group, and also using the analogy of jazz just to talk about spontaneity, creativity, adaptability, which is also really important these days.
I enjoy going into a sort of office environment where it can be slightly stiff, it can be a bit, maybe turgid is the wrong word, but and you're bringing something completely, hopefully a breath of fresh air into the room, and I have quite a laid-back style that I bring, I think, and try and inject that into the more staid corporate environment, and try and, with that sort of relaxed attitude, inject what I've learnt and hopefully come across in a sort of inspirational way.
Mark Stevenson, it's
Hello.
a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Now we've been having an interesting conversation a few minutes ago, and I've been asking you what a futurist is, because that's how the London Speaker Bureau describe you, as among many other things as well. So what is a futurist?
A futurist is somebody who helps their clients ask the right questions about the future, essentially. So it's about being awake at the wheel. There's lots of big changes coming in technology, and if you're not aware of the possibilities they offer, then you can't drive your family, your organisation, even your nation with enough awareness to make sure that when those changes come, the curves in the road come, that you can actually take them. So,
And you said as well that this is an incredibly important time, isn't it, over the next 30 years? We've had the digital revolution, but that's just the, what did you describe it, the cocktails?
the cocktail sausage before dinner.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what's around the corner then?
So the level of programmability and the democratization of power that we've seen with digital, such that people can now make things they couldn't make before, and they can distribute them. You're both a consumer and a distributor of content on the internet, and that's now coming to the physical world. So the energy system, renewables are getting very, very cheap now. In fact, the cost per kilowatt hour is the same price as fossil fuels in the UK at the moment. So you're going to see an energy system where you both become a consumer and a producer of energy. Also, you'll start to see 3D printing, where you can actually start to download and manufacture things on your desktop at home rather than going to buy them, and design them and sell them as well yourself. Same's happening with biology, where we have things like stem cell therapies that are producing whole replacement body organs to be implanted. You'll have genome sequencing, where you'll be able to probably download a drug that is made specifically for you based on your genetic code. Now, all these things will take some time to come, but that's certainly the general direction in which the world is going, a much more programmable, democratized, and therefore more networked and flatter world, which has massive challenges for most organizations, most people's perceptions of how the world works, and most governments.
Adam Ferguson, it's a great pleasure to meet you tonight, and you've had a busy 12 months by the sound of things.
I've done quite a lot of speaking here and there, but so many things are happening in the political world which I can't quite separate myself from at the moment. That there's always something in the air, something that has to be done, and something I have to look forward to or avoid. Life is like that.
Always. And I know you're a man of many passions, and architecture is certainly one of them. But of course, a lot of people want to talk to you about your expertise when it comes to the economy. And taking you back down memory lane a couple of decades, you wrote a very pivotal book, didn't you, When Money Dies, back in 1975?
Yep.
And that book has very much come back to the
That's
forefront.
only 4 decades, yes, but all right, yes.
It's come right back into the forefront of people's minds at the moment because of the way the global economy is right now. So what are you talking to people about at the moment?
Well, simply because we're into the whole business of intentional inflation, which is what quantitative easing is, which everyone is engaging in that. There's America, there's Europe, there's us ourselves, there's Japanese now. And so if you look back historically on the most astonishing bit of quantitative easing or inflation, deliberate money printing that's ever happened in an advanced economy, you have obviously got something to learn and something to be wary about when you indulge in it again.
It's fascinating talking to you because you have an amazing story to tell. I know you're in huge amounts of demand at the moment, going around the world, talking to people and businesses about what they can rather than what they can't do. So how does it work?
Well, it works very simply that on the day you were born, you only had 2 natural fears: a fear of falling over, which you got over to learn to walk, and a fear of loud noises, which you got over when you were a teenager. And this applies to you, Emma, and everyone watching this, which means that any other fear you have in your mind right now, and it's fear that stops you doing what you really know you need to do, every other fear you've made up. You've literally made it up. And the amazing thing is that as I said that to you, and as people heard that who are watching, it could well be that as they thought about it for a few seconds, they suddenly feel like you're feeling now, just a moment of absolute calm, because you now realise there's nothing wrong with you. And now that's out of the way, we can get on with it. Many, many speakers out there will tell you to be more than what you've become. In other words, you've made mistakes in your life, Emma. In some way you're supposed to get into a time capsule and correct them. There's many other people who'll inspire you to be the best that you can be. In other words, go for it. I we'll simply do something completely different. I invite you to be the very best that you already are. Everything you need, Emma, to achieve anything you want, you already have within you, and that is true of everyone watching this. And once you have that as a fundamental belief, you can move aside all sorts of issues about what's wrong with you, or your life's not complete, or you're not the finished article, or you've got to change something, and you can actually focus on choice. And there's a very, very serious point here. Let's not forget that organizations around the world wasted billions on change programs, which basically changed nothing because they were changing people from outside. They were consultants coming in and making you dependent on them. They were coaches coming in and talking to you about life coaching. They were soft and fluffy rubbish that didn't relate to their real world. What we talk about is the choices individuals make, and when people make a choice, Emma, they will put their lifeblood behind that choice to see it through.
You work in business per se, looking ahead to the next 12 months, are there like 2 or 3 things you think people should be aware of or excited about even?
Well, I think a lot depends on in which markets the businesses are operating, because there are still some pretty challenging times for some sectors and some territories within the world. I think, again, digital and making sure that that your business is fit for the digital world is absolutely crucial. Although I think actually people need to stop talking about having a digital strategy, because actually now the world is one where you need a business strategy that is fit for a digital age. That's the reality of it. Your business strategy has to embrace the fact that it's very much a digital world that we're now operating in. And I think we're going to see over the next year or so the increasing importance of mobile. I know people have been saying this is going to be the year of mobile for the last 15 years, but I really do believe that 2014 is going to be the year of mobile.
Oliver, it's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just hot off the press from a London Speaker Bureau event today.
True.
How did it go?
It was fantastic. Slaughter and May in the city. They wanted to know why even lawyers now care about Africa. You know, Africa used to be probably the most lawless place, and it was extraordinary to see an entire room full of highly paid city lawyers trying to mug up on Africa and what business is like there.
Now, you have travelled around the world as a journalist. You currently work for The Economist and you are Africa editor, is that correct? So there aren't many people who don't know much about Africa that you don't know about. And you're pretty confident that this is Africa's moment, is that right?
Indeed, yes. I think that Africa has a fantastic chance to finally deliver on the promise that a lot of Africans have always felt is there. Potential is the sort of perennial byword for Africa. It has a lot of it. People will say, what about all those creative young people? What about all the resources? What about the hard work that people are prepared to put in? And now seems to me is that moment where that potential is within grasp.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this tremendous event and got a taste of the fantastic speakers that the London Speaker Bureau can offer. See you next year.